Hey everyone, welcome to another video. Now all flight simmers know Winwing has taken the world by storm with their controls, not only through because of affordability, but also for the realism and the actual quality of them. Now the downside of Winwing is that predominantly they are made for airliners or fighter jets. So a lot of the GA aircraft sim flyers think that they can't use Winwing controls, but this video is all about, yes, you actually can. So here I've actually made myself, built myself an A320 home cockpit built around Winwing controls, all except for one panel, being the RMP panel by Wingflex, and the reason being that because Winwing haven't brought one out yet. Now, most people start flying Microsoft Flight Simulator in a GA aircraft and progress right up to the airliners, and even the airliner people like myself still have a soft spot for where we started back in the little either Cessna 152 or the 172. Now the very common misconception is that to use any kind of Winwing flight control with GA aircraft, you have to do mapping through Winwing's SIMAPP Pro. Now that's incorrect. You can most certainly just do the settings through the flight sim control section. So I'm using the Winwing Ursa Minor 32 flight stick, and just grab my seeing eyeglasses. Now I've mapped everything to that. Now obviously with a Cessna 172 or any other light aircraft like that, you generally use a yoke, but I use this with the A320, the fly-by-wire A320, this flight stick, and it most certainly is capable in the light aircraft. So I'll show you how I set this up. First we're going to go into options. We're going to go into control options. Now you have all different profiles for different controls here. So keyboard, mouse. Now I have Charlie rudder pedal, HEP metal, which my cat has kindly turned on for me, but this is the one we're looking for, the Wing Control Ursa Minor 32 joystick. Now I've already configured it to fly the Cessna 172, but I'll walk you through it. So we're going to start from the bottom. So power management, obviously your throttle. Now I'm just using the slider, and I'm moving the slider up and down, you can see. Now you just assign that to the throttle axis. Now all these settings, I must point out, are already assigned. So there's power management. Now autopilot. Now you can assign to toggle autopilot master on and off with any button you want on your flight stick. Now this not only applies to Winwing flight sticks, but I imagine any other flight stick as well. So I've assigned mine to button 12, which I'm pressing now, as you can see. Brakes. Now you can see I've only assigned toggle parking brakes to the flight stick, and the reason being that is, as you saw earlier, that in my profile settings that I have the Alpha Charlie rudder setup going on down there. So brakes and rudder combined in one. Now, in saying that, if you had a flight stick, such as this one here, with twist, you could use that as your rudder. So in getting back to there, I've just assigned button 6, toggle parking brakes. Now there is, we'll go to all, and we'll search parking brake. Now, as you can see on the screen, there's set parking brakes on, parking brakes off. If you're going to assign a button, just do toggle parking brakes. So one button, on and off. Simple as that. We go back to everything that's been assigned. Autopilot brakes. Okay, now here we are, we're going from bottom to top. Secondary control surfaces, so flaps. I've assigned extend flaps, button 1, retract, button 3. Now there's no need to set flaps 1, 2, 3. Just extend and retract. So only 2 buttons that you're needing right there. Before we get to control trimming, we're going to go to primary control surfaces. Now, elevator and aileron. So back over to the flight stick. Okay, to assign your elevator is just pulling back and forward. Ailerons, left aileron, right aileron. Now again, there are options for with the elevator movement is elevator pitch up or elevator pitch down. You don't want that, you want elevator axis. And make sure you tick that checkbox, reverse axis, and the same again with ailerons. Aileron axis, and tick that checkbox for reverse axis. Now, back to control. Now with the Cessna planes, you're constantly trimming, so you can use, as I don't have a trim wheel on the flight stick, so I'm using the hat. So hat up for trimming up, so nose up, and elevator trim down, nose down. I'm pressing the hat down. So quite easy to remember there. We've done flaps. Now camera. Now you assign any button you want for whatever type of view. So I've got them all mapped out here. So primarily in a cockpit, I'm looking right, left, hat, right hat, look up, look down. Now one very important thing, when you're assigning all these buttons and your throttle and your control surfaces to the flight stick, you must go into sensitivity up the top here on the top left and adjust your joystick left L axis and axis left, axis X, and joystick L axis Y. So you want to move your sensitivity to negative, minus 35%, and the same again, minus 35% on your axis Y, and your dead zone 2% on axis X, and axis Y to 2%. And they are the only settings that you'll need to play with. Need to move, sorry, I should say. Now the sensitivity will depend obviously on the sensitivity of your flight stick. So my initial setting was 30%. Now I wanted to deaden it a little bit, numb it. so I've lowered it down to 35%, and I'm finding that's a pretty good sweet spot for me. Now just press done. Now you do not need to go through all that rigmarole mapping in SIMAPP Pro, because that is nothing but a shit fight, and it'll just make you pull your hair out, and if you're as bald as me, hair is precious. Anyway, so we've done that, so that's all ready to rock and roll. So go back, so we're going to head out to the tarmac now, and there's one more little bonus treat which I've discovered that can be done, and that's using Microsoft Pop-Out Manager for your PFD and your ND. So we're going to pick a departure, and we're going to go from my local airport, YBCG. Now I've already chosen the Cessna 172 Skyhawk, and that's with the G1000 glass cockpit. So that's loading up now. Okay, here we are. Coolangatta, Gold Coast Airport, ready to fly. Right now, so for Microsoft Pop-Out Manager to work, you need to be in the cockpit. So we're going in there now. Now you'll see, as it pops out, it'll pop out onto my two display units down the bottom here. There goes the PFD, and there's the navigation display. Exactly mirrors what's on my TV screen. So before I move on, I'm just going to put back into full screen there. Now you might wonder, okay, this bloke can see his PFD and ND on the TV screen quite well. When I fly to Cessnas, I like to be able to just look out over the nose when I fly, so I know where I'm going. And as you can see on the TV screen, without constantly moving the focus down to the display units, I'm not going to see them. If I've got them on my monitors, my A320 cockpit monitors, it negates the need to move them up and down. Now, there are two downsides here. Now, if you've got a full home cockpit set up for an airliner, if you've got everything on, now I've only got switch on at the moment, the A320 FCU and the left EFIS turned on at the moment. Everything else here is turned off. If I had everything switched on, for some strange reason it causes some kind of a conflict, so I'll leave them off when I'm flying the Cessnas. And the main drawback, I must say, with my left EFIS on the A320, I'm just going to turn this down a little bit like that. Now obviously I'll adjust my range on the navigational display from 10 mile right up to 320, and also arc, plan, rows, etc. And also, you know, my buttons up the top here, constraint, waypoint, etc. And my QNH I can adjust with the knob there. Now none of that works with the GA aircraft. There might be a way around to mapping that to the GA. I haven't delved into that, but at this stage it can't be done. But in saying that, you can always go down here and use your mouse or your keyboard or whatever and adjust. So here I'm adjusting altitude to be set, and you can see down here as I'm turning the knob with my mouse, my set altitude is rising 15, 16, right up to 18. until my desired setting. My autopilot, as you can see, I just press the button on the flight stick and it come up here, AP. Now obviously no AP whilst you're situated on the runway. You're not going to get far. Alright, so let's get this little Cessna 172 up in the air, just using my display units. Now it's a beautiful autumn night here on the Gold Coast, Queensland border. Okay, we've toggled there. I don't really think we're in full screen at the moment, but I'm rolling down the runway. Now, as you can see here on my monitors, you see my velocity, and we're approaching takeoff speed of 60 knots, and we're up in the air. Now that's pretty smooth. I'm just going to try and make this full screen. There we go, that's much better. Well, flying above the terminal there. Now that's just using my Winwing Ursa Minor 32 flight stick, and it's nice and smooth. So I'll switch to external view. Going to retract the flaps. Now I know it's night flying and it's probably a little bit hard to see the aircraft, but it's nice and smooth. Okay, we're about 80 knots now, slowly climbing. So just for the sake of the video, I'm just going to set autopilot, and autopilot is now engaged. Now you can't see any control system on the TV. I'm just flying visually on the TV and using my screens down the bottom. Now obviously in a GA aircraft you'd be flying VFR, but this is, we're not getting technical. Just going to lower the revs there, and that's all there is to it. So don't let, if you only fly GA aircraft and you want to fly airliners, or if you only fly airliners and you want to fly GA aircraft, don't let the choice of Winwing controls put you off, because both can be used vice versa. And as I said, you don't need to go through all that rigmarole of mapping through SIMAPP Pro. Now, from what I've read, it's advisable to do so, but I've had no issues in just going through the control options and assigning buttons, switches and sliders through that portal there. Alright, well that sums up the video. I hope you've learned something, and I hope you've enjoyed watching the video, and if you have, please give a thumbs up and press that like button down below. Always goes a long way, and it's always much appreciated.